Hello, welcome to another session of Grade 9 Mathematics, Chapter 3, Coordinate Geometry. The first question that could come to our mind is, why coordinate geometry? Why should we learn it? The answer to that is another question from my side. Try to describe the position of the ball in the figure below. Maybe you would say that the position of the ball is more towards the right hand side, or maybe you would say the ball is more towards the top. But how about giving an exact description of the position of this ball? Think about it. Now, look at this figure. Can you now represent the position of the ball? Maybe yes, because if you could see, the ball actually lies in the fourth row. And if you actually go through the column, it actually lies in the fifth column. But then again, when I have rows and columns, maybe I'm able to define the location of the ball. But mathematically, there is an easier way. Let us try to understand the theory of coordinate geometry. To understand the theory of coordinate geometry in a better manner, let me tell you a story about a very famous mathematician, René Descartes. The story goes this way. A very famous mathematician called René Descartes lay in bed one night. As he lay there, he looked up at the ceiling in his bedroom. He noticed a fly was asleep on the ceiling. Descartes, being a mathematician, wondered if he could actually figure out a way of stating where exactly the fly was on the ceiling. Obviously, there has to be a precise description, he thought. I can really say to the left or near the right or in the middle. He was confused. Now, when Descartes looked up at his ceiling, this is what he saw. This is what he saw. A fly resting there. He began to think about how he might be able to describe the exact position of the fly. See what the famous mathematician René Descartes came up with? Descartes decided that if he drew two lines at right angles to each other, then he might be able to come up with a way of describing the exact position of the fly. How do you think this would have actually helped him? Think about it. Now, Descartes decided to place the numbers on the bottom, that is a horizontal row, and on the side, which is a vertical row. He could now state accurately where exactly the fly was on the ceiling. But then there was a problem. Should he give the vertical numbers followed by horizontal? That is, should he describe the location of the fly by saying go up by 5 squares and then move across 4 squares? Or should he give up the horizontal number first? The mathematician René Descartes finally decided to give the horizontal number first and the vertical number second. To help people remember this, he called the horizontal line X and the vertical line Y, because X comes before Y in the alphabet. So the number associated with the horizontal one has to come first, and the number associated with the vertical line has to come later. Now, so in this diagram, the position of the fly can be found by moving 4 units across first and then 5 units up. These are known as the X and the Y values and are written like this. The position of the fly can be written as, in the bracket, 4, 5. 4 represents 4 units across, that is 4 units on the horizontal line. And 5 over here represents 5 units up, that is 5 units on the vertical line. So this wonderful thought of the great mathematician René Descartes gave us a new system of locating the position of the object, the system known as Cartesian system, a system named in the honor of the great mathematician René Descartes. Let us now understand the Cartesian system in detail. The Cartesian system has a Cartesian plane which is divided into four regions by the x-axis and the y-axis. Now, the point where the x and the y-axis meet is called the point of origin. Now, on the right side of the origin on the x-axis, you will have the positive numbers. On the left side of the origin on the x-axis, which is referred as x dash, the negative x-axis, would have the negative numbers. Likewise, on the top of origin on the y-axis, we have the positive numbers. On the bottom of origin on the y-axis, that is the negative y-axis, we would have the negative numbers. Now, the x and the y-axis, that is the x dash, y dash axis, actually divides this plane into four regions. And these regions are known as quadrants. So we have quadrant number 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Now, a point in this region, that is in quadrant 1, would have the x and the y coordinate as positive numbers. Let us observe it further. Now, any point in this region would have a positive x coordinate. Likewise, it would have a positive y coordinate. So that is the reason why it is written plus comma plus. That is, the x coordinate is also positive and the y coordinate is also positive. Getting to the second quadrant. Here it is mentioned that the second coordinate should have a negative x coordinate and a positive y coordinate. Let us understand why. Any point in this region, that is quadrant 2, will actually have the negative x-axis. So the coordinate of the x-axis would be negative. Likewise, the coordinate of the y-axis would still be positive. Let us get to quadrant 3. Here, in this region, any point in quadrant 3 would have a negative x coordinate as well as a negative y coordinate. So the x and the y coordinates of this quadrant would be negative. Now, coming to quadrant 4, can you tell me what would be the sort of coordinates for any point lying in this region, that is quadrant 4? Observe it carefully. Yes, the x coordinates would be positive and the y coordinates would be negative. So let us quickly recall. The Cartesian plane is divided into four regions: quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. Let us get into exercise 3.2. Question number 1. The question says, write the answer of each of the following questions. The first question is, what is the name of the horizontal and the vertical lines drawn to determine the position of any point in the Cartesian plane? What do we call those horizontal and vertical lines? The answer is easy. The horizontal line is called the x-axis and the vertical lines are called the y-axis. Let us get to the second question. What is the name of each part of the plane formed by these two lines? We have already discussed that The Cartesian plane is divided into four regions, four parts, and each one of them is called a quadrant. So the correct answer is quadrant. Coming to the third sub-question of question number 1 of exercise 3.2. The question is, write the name of the point where these two lines intersect. Here, these two lines actually refer to the horizontal and the vertical lines. That is the x and the y axis. So what do we call the point where these two axes intersect? Yes, the correct answer is origin. So origin is a point where these two lines intersect. Now, let us get to the second question of exercise 3.2. In the second question, we have been given a graph which is already plotted. Now, you can find that we have points such as D, B, M, H, E, G, C. Before we get into the solution of the questions asked, let us try to recall and apply the understanding that we have gained as of now. Can you tell me what would be the coordinates of D? Yes, on the x-axis it is number 6 and on the y-axis it is 2. So the coordinates of point D would be 6, 2, as the x coordinate has to be written first and then the y coordinate. Let me ask you one more question to check if you have understood this system of Cartesian very well. Can you tell me what are the coordinates for the point H? Yes, you'll first write the x coordinate, which is -5, and then the y coordinate, which is -3. So the coordinates of H are -5, -3. Now, I believe you have understood and recalled the concept of Cartesian system. Let us get to the question. We have been asked to see the figure and write the following. The first question of question number 2 is the coordinates of B. Let us get to the figure. The coordinates of B on the x-axis is -5 and on the y-axis is 2. Hence, the answer is -5, 2. The next question is to find the coordinates of point C. Let us get to the graph and see where our point C lies. Here it is. You will find that the x coordinate of C is the number 5 and the y coordinate is -5. So the answer is 5, -5, since the x coordinate has to be written first and then the y coordinate. Let us get into the third question. Find the point identified by the coordinates -3, -5. So -3 represents x-axis, -5 represents y-axis. And we have been asked to find the point which is identified by these coordinates. So let's find where is -3 on my Cartesian plane. Yes, here it is, -3. And then the y coordinate should have -5. So here it is -3 and -5. So the point is point E. So the correct answer is point E. Now the fourth question. We have been asked to find the point identified by the coordinates 2, -4. The x coordinate is positive. The y coordinate is -4. Let us first find where is the number 2. Here it is. And the y coordinate is -4. So the y coordinate is -4. Here it is. So the point is point G. That's the correct answer. The next question is to find the abscissa of point D. Now, Here comes the word abscissa. If you remember, I told you abscissa refers to the x coordinate. So here we have been asked to identify the x coordinate of point D. So where is our point D? Let us try to find that. Here it is, point D. And the x coordinate for point D is number 6. So 6 is the abscissa of point D. Here is the next question. Find the ordinate of point H. My dear students, kindly note it is not coordinate, it is ordinate. Here ordinate refers to the y coordinate. As abscissa refers to the x coordinate, the word ordinate refers to the y coordinate. So we have been asked to find the y coordinate of point H. Let us first find point H. Here it is. So the y coordinate of point H is -3. So we can say the right answer for the ordinate of point H is -3. The next question is to find the coordinates of point L. Let us find where is the point L. Here it is. Now, if you observe, the point L is actually on the y-axis. Hence, you'll find that the x coordinate is 0 and the y coordinate is 5. Why is 0 mentioned? This indicates that the point is not on the x-axis, but it is on the y-axis. Coming to the last question of this exercise is to find the coordinates of point M. Where is the alphabet M? Here it is. We have been asked to find the coordinates of point M. And if you could observe, M is a point which is actually on the x-axis. To be correct, on the negative x-axis. And precisely it is at -3. So this number is only on the x-axis. Hence, the y coordinate has been mentioned as 0. And the x coordinate, as it is shown in the graph, is -3. So the coordinates for the point M would be written as -3, 0. Let us get into the next exercise. Exercise 3.3. There are 2 questions in total. Let us look into question number 1. The question is, in which quadrant or on which axis do each of the points -2, 4, 3, -1, -1, 0, 1, 2, and -3, -5 lie? So we have to find in which quadrant or on which axis does these points with the given coordinates lie, and then verify the same. So how to give a solution to this question? First, my dear students, you have to draw a Cartesian plane with the x-axis and the y-axis, and then plot the numbers correctly on either side of x and y-axis. Please make sure that the x-axis has positive numbers and the x-dash axis has negative numbers. Similarly, the y-axis has positive numbers and the y-dash, the negative y-axis, has negative numbers. Now, let us try to plot the numbers one by one. So the first number is -2, 4. So -2 on the x-axis and 4 on the y-axis. Here it is. So the point is A, -2, 4. Let us look into the next number. 3, -1. So 3 on the x-axis and -1 on the y-axis. Let us try to find where it would be. 3 on the x-axis. So this is 3 on the x-axis. And then -1 on the y-axis. So this is where the point would be. 3 on the x-axis, -1 on the y-axis. The next question, -1, 0. Here it is very clear. Since the value of y coordinate is 0, the point lies on the x-axis. And where on the x-axis? At -1. So the point C is this one. -1, 0. This is the point. Let us get into the next number. 1, 2. So 1 on the x-axis and 2 on the y-axis. So 1 on the x-axis and 2 on the y-axis. So this is the point. So this is not -1, this is 1, 2. Now the last number is -3, -5. So -3 on the x-axis and -5 on the y-axis. So this is where the point would lie. This is how your graph should also look like. Now let us conclude in which quadrant or on which axis does this point lie. So -2, 4 lies in second quadrant. -1, 0 lies on the negative x-axis. -3, -5 lies on the third quadrant. 3, -1 lies on the fourth quadrant. And 1, 2 actually lies on the first quadrant. Now, let us get into exercise 3.3, the second question. Let us read the question. We have been asked to plot the points x, y given in the following table on a plane, choosing suitable units of distance on the x-axis. Now, the table shows the values of a given point for x and y-axis. So the first set of number is on the x-axis it is -2 and on the y-axis it is 8. Next, for the next point it is -1, 7. For the third point it is 0, -1.25. The next number is 1, 3. The next one is 3, -1. I hope you have understood how to read the given table. Now let us try to plot these points on a Cartesian plane. The first thing that you have to do is draw the x-axis and the y-axis on a graph paper with the help of a pencil and ruler. And then very carefully plot the positive and the negative numbers on the respective sides of the x and the y-axis. Let us now plot the first set of number, that is -2, 8. So -2 on the x-axis. So this is -2 on the x-axis, but I need 8 on the y-axis. So this is positive. So here is a number. So this is, if I say -2 and 8, this is a number. So -2, 8 is a coordinate of a point described at this point. So you have to mark it out and write in the bracket -2,